Now, Bob Jordan, Carol Nelson, weatherman Danny Traynor, and Mike Storms on sports. This is Eyewitness News.
Hi, everybody. Here's what's happening tonight. 2 of Albertsons Orlando area supermarkets are closed tonight while store managers and security people search for contaminated food. An extortionist called the supermarket today demanding $80,000 and claiming that he hid poison somewhere in the store. Richard King reports.
Around 8 o'clock this morning, employees of this Albertsons at South Orange and Michigan Avenues received a telephone call from a man. He told them where to look for a note, which reportedly demanded $80,000. It also told employees some other chilling news.
The note said that they would receive instructions as to some contaminants that were in the food that could be removed from the shelf. Should they not pay that, he would not give the location of the contaminants in the food.
In order to prove his point, the extortionist said he contaminated a jar of foodstuffs. That jar has been sent to the Sanford Crime Lab for analysis. And this raises a lot of other questions. Late this afternoon, Albertsons officials began to answer some of those questions, like what should customers do with cans of pickles and tomato sauce bought at both stores. An official said to bring the cans back to the store for a refund. The extortionist had said in his note that he'd contaminated these products. As for other foodstuffs in the stores, officials said they're not checking any further items. An Albertsons official told Eyewitness News that the products tested were, quote, not particularly harmful. He claimed he didn't know what the contaminant was. And he also said that all cans of pickles and tomato sauce have been removed from the shelves in the Altamont Springs store as well as the South Orlando store. Orlando police said one deadline, as written in the note, passed today with no further word from the extortionist. Meanwhile, both those stores, Altamont Springs and South Orlando, are closed until further notice. This is Richard King, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
By the way, Albertsons stores in Pine Hills and Longwood are open at this hour, as is the Albertsons store in Winter Park. They were not affected. The body of a young black girl found yesterday in a West Orange County grove has been identified. Police say she was a 15-year-old student at Howard Junior High. Here's Denise White with more on the story.
The body found in this grove west of Windermere is that of 15-year-old Michelle Bass of Fort Lauderdale. She moved to Orlando just 2 months ago to live at this apartment complex with her aunt Dolores Dunbar in order to attend Howard Junior High. Michelle was last seen Thursday morning just before she was expected to leave for school.
Michelle had told me that there was a Howard Junior High bus that stopped at the Orange Center Apartments at 7:30. And I had told her it was too far for her to walk and that she would have to wait until Friday, so I could get bus fare and send her by bus. She swore that there was a bus stop at Orange Center Apartments, that she had met some school friends and they said that there was a bus stop at 7:30. So she left here to catch the bus. That was the last time you saw her? That was the last time I saw her until I identified her this morning.
But Michelle didn't catch the school bus to Howard Junior High School because it doesn't stop in this neighborhood. Mrs. Dunbar is convinced her niece lied in order to meet someone. A man, she says, Michelle had been seen talking with on at least 4 occasions, including the day she was discovered missing. Michelle was spotted getting into a car with the man, described as a black man who has been seen visiting this apartment complex. About 7 hours later, a Grove worker drove his tractor over Michelle's body. The canvas school bag her aunt says she was carrying was found near the lake by crime scene technicians. Michelle is described by her aunt as a problem child who has had to bear the worst in life. She is said to have been emotionally abused, raped at age 11, and is one of 9 children, 3 sets of twins, all of whom are considered emotionally disturbed. Denise White, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Police in Daytona Beach say they have no clues yet in this morning's murder of a clerk at a 7-Eleven store. 29-year-old Norman Hotzel was found dead at about 3:30 this morning at the 7-Eleven store on South Ridgewood Avenue. Hotzel had been on the job for just 2 months. One of 2 inmates who escaped from the Volusia County Correction Center is still on the loose tonight. Frank Burdell says that while the search goes on, security procedures are being looked over.
Today, things were back to normal at the Volusia County Correction Center. Yesterday's escape wasn't the first, and officials say it probably won't be the last. As you can see from Sky Witness, the prison is surrounded by pine trees and palmetto bushes. Yesterday, it was the perfect setting for an escaping inmate to get away from guards. 18-year-old William Westfall had help from a nearby brush fire. It prevented canine dogs from getting his scent. Officials still don't know if Westfall deliberately set the fire to cover his tracks. Today, sheriff's deputies got a tip that he was hiding out in a house near Ormond Beach. They closed in on the neighborhood, but Westfall wasn't found. Tonight, the 18-year-old man, convicted on counts of burglary, is still at large. The man who escaped with him is back behind bars after being treated for broken bones in his ankles. Both men got out of the prison by climbing over a 12-foot-high fence. And jail officials told us today it's likely to happen again.
This facility was built to house sentenced prisoners. We are now placing pretrial detainees in here. This institution was not necessarily designed to house that category of prisoner, and we're going to have problems.
Officials say they will review their security procedures, but yesterday's escape probably won't cause them to do their job any differently. In Volusia County, Frank Verdell, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
For the second time in a year, a former Brevard County deputy has been convicted in federal court for the possession of unregistered firearms. An Orlando U.S. District Court jury found William Wells guilty of possessing 5 hand grenades, a .22 caliber pistol, and several unregistered silencers. The weapons were found buried in the front yard of Wells' home in Melbourne. At the time of his arrest, Wells was free on bond, appealing an earlier weapons possession conviction. The case against him was helped by tape-recorded confessions made by another Brevard deputy. Deputy Harvey Smith agreed to cooperate after federal agents suspected him of being involved. Carol?
A spokesman for Governor Graham says it might be next week before the governor appoints someone to fill Ed Mason's seat on the Orange County Commission. Graham suspended Mason after he was charged with first-degree murder in the death of his wife. Here's Ron Cummings.
The search for a replacement for Ed Mason began in earnest with this announcement at the County Commission meeting on Tuesday.
We have just received notice from the governor's office. Mr. Joe Willis called. That as a courtesy, he was letting us know that the governor has officially suspended Commissioner Ed Mason from office as a county commissioner as of this date at 4 p.m.
The governor's office has received about 15 names to consider for appointment to this board, and there will be more, but a decision may not come until next week. One of the most influential people locally assisting the governor is Frank Pignoni, one of Graham's early campaign workers. Pignoni says he wants to recommend a Democrat who supported Graham and who lives in Mason's district, but doesn't want someone who ran unsuccessfully for a commission seat in the past.
It may make it a very difficult situation on the commission to appoint somebody who had lost an election where there's a sitting commissioner now. It may make it totally unproductive. Of course, that will be up to the two individuals concerned as to whether they can work together or not in the future.
Another person the governor may rely on is Mayor Bill Frederick, who is also expected to offer a recommendation if asked. Frederick also has ideas about who he wants in the job.
But we have some functional consolidation issues we're trying to pull together and work together. We're talking about a common office buildings and things, and we're talking about an arena downtown as a site. I want to make sure that, at least I would like the opportunity to ensure that the candidate that the governor's considering is sympathetic to these common goals. And beyond that, I'd really be happy with most anyone.
Mayor Frederick says he has not yet talked with Graham about a possible replacement for Mason. If the person picked to replace Ed Mason has any future political aspirations, they could find this job a real liability. Mason's replacement will have to face a number of very tough, politically sensitive issues, and what happens on them could very well make or break the new commissioner. Consolidation of the county's fire districts is one of those troublesome areas. The county is even facing a lawsuit over it. Sewage disposal problems and sewer fees will also require some hard decisions, as well as the crisis over what to do about the county's overcrowded jails, another area where the county faces lawsuits and the prospect of having to spend millions of dollars to find a solution. In Orange County, Ron Cummings, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Yet to come on Eyewitness News this Friday night, a TB outbreak down in Polk County. We'll have a report.
Also, higher sewer hookup fees for Orlando residents. Stay with us.
A very short time left here in Melbourne at Jim Rathman Chevrolet Cadillac May 500 sale. Now, you're in luck because we've just received a new shipment of Chevrolets that we have marked way down. Here's an example. You can buy a new 81 Citation for $6,271, and that includes freight. You know, if you'll hurry, you can take advantage of prices marked down on all Chevrolets, all Chevrolet trucks, all Cadillacs and used cars. In Melbourne, Jim Rathman Chevrolet Cadillac, of course.
At Handy City, we're building a giant sale for do-it-yourselfers. Glidden Spread House Paint is on sale now, only $10.99 a gallon. Spread House Paint is Glidden's best. It goes on easy, cleans up with soap and water, and gives your home a beautiful weather-tough finish. Glidden Spread House Paint in your choice of custom mixed colors on sale now, only $10.99 a gallon.
Go to Handy City. Do it yourself. Do it and save.
You bet, this is it. Greyhound racing at beautiful air-conditioned Daytona Beach Kennel Club. Post time 8 p.m. every night, Monday through Saturday. Thursdays, ladies' night. Play Quinellas, Perfectas, and Dynamite Daytona Trifectas. Matinees Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 1:30. Admission still only 50 cents. Hundreds of free grandstand seats. Daytona Beach Kennel Club, the best thing running. West on Route 92, just off I-4 and I-95. Minutes from anywhere in Central Florida. Sorry, no minors.
They're here. Get the camera.
At a moment like this, the Polaroid SX70 autofocus lets you get closer to someone you love. Closer than any other instant.
Hi.
Polaroid's SX70 autofocus.
Now even when the moment ends, he smiled at me. You'll share the moment once again.
No other instant camera comes close.
It's only been 3 days since the first random tests, but state officials are already calling Frostproof Junior-Senior High School the site of a potential tuberculosis outbreak. To date, 49 of 366 students tested have shown to be infected with TB. In fact, one student shows signs of progressed lung damage, 4 others showing early signs of damage. Testing at that school in Polk County continued today, but it'll be Monday before the test results are back in. And if you live in Orlando, be prepared to pay higher hookup fees for sewer service. On Monday, the City Council will consider tripling those fees. Ron Fleming says all that extra money will be used to pay for sewer improvements.
This is Iron Bridge, a $50 million high-technology sewage treatment plant near UCF in East Orange County to be operated by the City of Orlando.
It's the best designed plant. It's the biggest, and we hope it will be the most effective. It just embodies everything that our best technology has come up with.
Sewer connection fees are on the way up in Orlando to help pay operating Iron Bridge and the city's other major sewage treatment plants. The City Council will vote on that on Monday to raise the sewage benefit fee, as it's called, from $200 per hookup to more than $700. Despite the fact they're using the best practical technology available to treat sewage at this plant, it will be in need of expansion the day it opens in September of this year. The reason? The city needs more volume. Estimated cost for that? About $70 million. Acting Public Works Director Howard Jewett says that may mean a $150 million sewage construction bill for Orlando by 1986. The additional $80 million coming from the Shingle Creek no discharge edict handed down by the Department of Environmental Regulation earlier this week.
The potential just on the west side of town to the city is, I still feel, $50 to $75 million. That's 1980-81 dollars, not $85-86, which, you know, could be more money at the time it's really spent because of inflation.
Look for sewage connection fees to be going up, and those connections to be more limited in the years to come. In Orlando, Ron Fleming, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
The people that operate those tours over at the Kennedy Space Center today unveiled the first phases of a multi-million-dollar improvement package designed to lure more visitors. Gary Whitaker reports from the Space Coast.
The most obvious addition to the visitor center is this 224-foot-long Saturn 1B rocket, the type used for Earth orbits during the Apollo era. It was recently on loan to Japan for display at a science exposition. The loan agreement required the Japanese to pay for the rocket's preparation as an exhibit here upon its return. The other big change is in the Space Center's 10,000-square-foot Hall of History. A walk-through tour now gives visitors displays from the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and Skylab programs, enhanced by new videotape narrations. A small theater gives tourists a brief history of the entire manned space program. But the general manager of the TWA-run Tourist Center believes it is the current manned space program that will draw visitors in a time when the tourism industry is in a slump.
With the shuttle, the attention is being more and more directed to the space program, and as a consequence, we are reaping the benefits.
The renovation of the Hall of History and the display of the Saturn 1B rocket is just the beginning of $8.5 million worth of improvements that TWA officials believe will move the Kennedy Space Center tours from Florida's 4th most attractive tourist spot to number 3. Other new attractions planned over the next 10 years include a giant overhead screen theater with seating for 450, a larger multimedia theater, and additional exhibit area. At the Kennedy Space Center, Gary Whitaker, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Looks like a hot weekend. Danny's next.
There's our hero, doing it himself again, straight up the ladder of success. But the higher he climbs, the more trouble he could get into. And if a TV or CB antenna should touch a power line, the shock could be a lot worse than bad reception. Florida Power and Light urges you to remember, antennas and power lines don't mix.
Toyota time is about to end, but Toyota dealers are open with great money-saving Toyota time deals right now and through this weekend. You could get your best deal now on any high gas mileage Toyota you want, Corollas to Celicas. And look for Toyota time deals on brand new Toyota diesel trucks. Remember, you've only got through this weekend, and it's first come, first served on selection. So beat the clock, hurry in and see us now, while the Toyota dealers in the great Southeast can still save you money with a great Toyota time deal.
Who do you know in real estate that can help you find the money to buy your first home?
ERA.
Who has a system to tell you in a single day if you're likely to qualify for the house you want?
ERA.
Who knows 38 ways to finance a home and which one's best for you?
ERA.
When you're ready to buy, call your ERA real estate specialist. We know where the money is. That's another reason we're selling houses.
I'll probably weaken this weekend and turn on the air conditioning. It's getting that hot.
Well, go to the Channel 9 picnic Saturday,
Yes,
and then you won't
that's
have anybody at
right.
home to turn on the air conditioner because temperatures like 92 today. We expect that again for tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be a hot weekend. Plenty of clear skies and a lot of sunshine. Overnight wasn't so bad. It dropped down to 63 degrees. Again, no rain. A little rain around Miami today. The Daytona high officially was 87. Overnight 66, no rain. Ocala came in with 92. Overnight 68 and no rain. Take a look at the satellite picture from 7 o'clock this morning. As you can see, a little cloud cover down around the southeast portion of the state of Florida. And that developed into some tornado warnings this afternoon for the Miami, Broward, and Dade County. And a lot of activity to the west of us, but right over the southeast skies are clear. They had daytime fog up around the New England northeast today, and that included areas like Pennsylvania, New York, State on into Maine. Now, it looks like we're going to continue with this weather. Let me show you what some of the other cities we're experiencing today. Beginning with Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia was on the clear side. You'll see this any moment. It'll move right across the screen, just like magic. Fair skies around Atlanta. Foggy conditions, as I told you, in Boston, Buffalo, also Chicago. Fair, though, around Cleveland. Cold front moving into that area may change their weather pattern by tomorrow. Dallas, thunderstorms, and they expect them again tomorrow. Watch out, they may have some flash flooding in that area. And we had some hazy conditions, foggy around New York, and foggy in Pittsburgh. Fair skies in Salt Lake City. Strange to hear the word foggy during the daytime, isn't it? That was around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Approaching cold front was causing most of that. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, look at this. Clear skies around Minnesota, in case you're going there. We have a high pressure system right over Colorado, and that'll bring a lot of clear skies to the western United States. Oh, all throughout Texas, a lot of heavy thunderstorms into Tennessee and also parts of the Ohio River Valley. Look for the word flash flooding over the weekend. For us, though, a high pressure system promises clear skies. Temperatures now 85 degrees at Cocoa Beach, 90 down around Lakeland, 91 in Ocala. Orlando at this hour is currently 89 degrees. The winds are out of the northwest at 10, humidity 35%, barometer falling. Daytona Beach, 83 degrees. Winds out of the east at 10 miles an hour, humidity 53%, and the barometer falling. Weather eye over Central Florida, nothing to report, no shower activity here. Weather picture for tonight. Bobby Jordan, Jennifer Elementary, and there's Bob and his wife Sharon and 2 kids thumbing their ride to Minnesota. Because Bob is cheap. Really cheap. Never go to dinner with this man. All right, here is the marine interest forecast. 2 to 4 feet on the Atlantic, 2 to 4 feet on the Gulf. The official forecast, fair skies, plenty of sun, high tomorrow 92, overnight 68, no mention of rain. 5-day forecast will be issued later this evening, and we'll have it for you. We'll have some rain possibly on Tuesday.
It's a good thing he makes his livelihood with news.
That was done
and
by
not
Jeff
drawing.
Mormon.
Jeff Mormon drew that. That's cute. Well, baseball strike, yay or nay? Mike Storms has the word. That's next.
Low prices.
Big savings.
Best buys. Your best buy on a new kitchen faucet is at Scotty's. Save $5.60 on a peerless 2-handle kitchen faucet. It's washerless, designed for 3-hole sinks, and comes with printed and recorded installation instructions. Regularly $25.59. Sale price now at just $19.99 at Scotty's.
There's just one place to find
Peerless kitchen faucet, just $19.99.
Shop Scotty's and save.
2 of these mayonnaise have an ingredient that will surprise you. Kraft has an artificial preservative. Hellmann's has an artificial preservative too. But Blue Plate, nothing artificial. So use Kraft or Hellmann's, you're putting an artificial preservative into your food. But use delicious tasting Blue Plate mayonnaise made from quality ingredients, and the only thing your food is missing is an artificial preservative. Blue Plate, the real mayonnaise with nothing artificial.
Toyota time is about to end, but Toyota dealers are open with great money-saving Toyota time deals right now and through this weekend. You could get your best deal now on any high gas mileage Toyota you want, Corollas to Celicas. And look for Toyota time deals on brand new Toyota diesel trucks. Remember, you've only got through this weekend, and it's first come, first served on selection. So beat the clock, hurry in and see us now, while the Toyota dealers in the great Southeast can still save you money with a great Toyota time deal.
Like your car? Are you kidding? Well, Eckerd's Automotive Department has just what you need to put your car in top shape inside and out. Like Starbright new Poly Protector Plus, just $4.88. Poly Protector Plus instantly renews and protects vinyl, rubber, plastic, leather. It's guaranteed for 2 years, now just $4.88 at Eckerd. You like your car now? Are you kidding? You're gonna like Eckerd. We're gonna make sure.
This is the last time I'll say what's cooking in sports tonight.
Well, I was going to be somewhat nasty and say I'm thankful for that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll tell you, this baseball strike business is really getting out of hand. And now that the federal government is involved, it's going to really go downhill. First of all, as you probably know, the strike has been called off for at least a week, while a federal judge decides whether or not to postpone the strike deadline until next February. Then after that, another judge will hear arguments and decide if the owners have been bargaining in good faith with the players. And the issue now is not compensation, but should the owners be made to open their financial records to the players? Now, listen, this is crazy. Just think what would happen if you or I marched into the owner of our business and asked for an outlandish salary. And he says, I can't afford that. Then you say, okay, show me the books, and I'll tell you what you can pay me. You know something? We'd both be looking in the one ads tomorrow. Baseball is a business. The owners are investing their money, they're taking the chances, they take the losses, and should be rewarded for the successes. There is a solution, but I don't have time to get into that right now. And speaking of solutions, Gene Autry, the owner of the California Angels, thinks he has one to turn the Angels into a winner. That's fire Jim Fregosi as manager and hire Gene Mock. And it's a job Mock's been waiting for.
People involved. When I took the job last night, I thought it was the best thing I could do for myself and for the greatest number of people involved. And tomorrow night, if I think it's the best thing to do to bunt in the first inning, if it's the best thing for the club, then I'll bunt. If I don't think it is, then I won't. In fact, I've pretty much depended on the seat of my pants my whole life for what I do.
Now here's something you've never seen in baseball before. In the Seattle Kingdome a couple of nights ago, Amos Otis, batting for the Kansas City Royals, hits a ball down the third baseline. It looks like it's going to stay fair, so Lenny Randall, who's a comedian during the offseason, starts to blow the ball foul. Now that's a first, but the umpires gave Otis the single, put him on first base. Kansas City ended up winning.
This is a production of WGBH2 Boston. News with local depth and local perspective. Pioneers who fought for same-sex marriage recall their journey 10 years later. Governor Patrick takes on critics and talks gambling, an island casino, and his trip to Israel. And putting innovation in the hands of inmates, how computer tablets could change their futures. From the WGBH News studios, this is Greater Boston.
Hello, welcome to Greater Boston on TV and streaming online and on mobile. I'm Emily Rooney. Today, same-sex marriage is a fact of life. 17 states now recognize same-sex marriages, and another 11 are poised to legalize it through pending lawsuits. It was a far different picture 10 years ago this Saturday. After a protracted lawsuit and an eventual ruling by the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, gay couples across Massachusetts eagerly waited to pick up the first legal marriage licenses in the country. May 17th, 2004. At the stroke of midnight, couples gathered outside Cambridge City Hall, lining up to get marriage licenses.
When straight people, gay people, black people, white people can come together and celebrate a step towards equality, that is what America's about.
For years, gay and lesbian couples had fought City Hall, including Julie and Hillary Goodridge, who had earlier tried to get a marriage license.
We had our blood tests and we had our fee, and the woman said, well, where are the grooms? And we said, there are no grooms, it's just us. Well, you can't do that, you're not allowed.
And then they were allowed.
Well, I'd like to apply for a marriage license. Okay.
The Supreme Judicial Court had ruled 6 months earlier that denying same-sex couples the right to marry created second-class citizens and was unconstitutional. Still, the ruling had its detractors.
If we do not reverse this through the constitutional amendment, this country is going to be in dire straits in the next generation.
But it was not reversed. And 6 months to the date that same-sex marriage was declared legal, Julie and Hillary Goodridge were married.
Till death do we part. Till death do we part.
The power of those words after what we've all gone through for the last 3 years was so moving and just amazing.
I feel so proud to be a citizen of the Commonwealth.
And proving that same-sex couples have rights like everyone else, the Goodriches divorced 2 years later. And joining me now are two of the plaintiffs that led to the SJC's pivotal decision, Hillary and Julie Goodridge. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what's it been like, even the last 10 years, just knowing that you two were the face of this? I have to say, you have it on the same jacket that you got married in, which is just wonderful. I did recognize it. I mean, were you anticipating this moment, knowing 10 years later everybody was going to come back at you?
No, I mean, it's so exciting to think that this is where we are now, that we've got, what is it, 16 or 17 states?
17.
17 states now where gay couples can get married. It's almost a non-issue. A lot of young people in their 20s, don't even remember that we didn't have gay marriage. It's kind of exciting. Our daughter Annie, who was 8 at the time, is 18, going off to college. Yeah, so things have changed a lot in this country, and I think all for the better.
You know, one of the things that's very true still today, and I was reading about this, I think yesterday or the day before in the New York Times, that every single state that has passed this, it was on the face of a couple, like the two of you. There was a name associated with it. So wasn't this just kind of generic idea that every single state had a face of the same-sex couple?
Or a lot of faces. You know, I mean, in our case, we had 6 other plaintiff couples, which was a huge relief, and they were amazing, as well as so many other couples who came forward. But I think it was the stories, it was people's real life experiences that made the difference eventually. And you see that now with even very conservative politicians whose child turns out to be gay. Suddenly their support for same-sex marriage is there.
You've told this story many times over the year. But please tell it again, when you actually went to meet with then Governor Mitt Romney in his office to plead your case. What happened?
Well, you know, I always shockingly err on the side of the positive. And I went in there and I thought, okay, you know, he's going to listen to us. And once he hears about who we are and why we want this, he's going to change his mind, because that happened for most people in the Commonwealth. But we went in and sat down with him, and he was clearly uneducated about the case. He hadn't read a single thing about our case, as far as I could tell. He kept referring to my adopted daughter, Annie. And, you know, our case, the reason that we wanted to get married to protect our family was because Hillary had such a hard time accessing us when Annie had a difficult birth. And so it was the fact that I was having trouble in my birth that was our story, right? And he didn't know that, nor did he know the stories of any of the other, you know, the other folks who came to meet with him that day.
What did he say to you?
It was a surreal experience to have someone who, it took a lot of effort to get in to see him. Okay, he's the governor, that makes sense, but at that time we'd had a lot of publicity, so you'd think it would have made sense. And he really was completely disengaged, and it was...
Was he uneasy around you?
He was not comfortable at all. And, you know, we asked him some pretty pointed questions. Why should our families be treated any differently than your family, for example? And he couldn't really answer that. And so that was discouraging that our governor, you know, thought so little of his citizens.
And yet
that changed.
It did change. And Mayor Menino escorting all of you that day, you and the other couples who was with you.
Right. Yeah, he brought us into the Situation Room.
Yes.
You know, we had Annie with us. We were down there. There's a big screen TV. You know, she was thrilled, and food, and you know, he was so sweet. He walked us through the bowels of City Hall and escorted us up and walked with us to the counter. I mean, it was very, very moving and very exciting. You know, we were faced with, you know, scaffoldings of media from around the world who were following the story. That's actually part of what made it so crazy with the governor, that he really had absolutely no idea what was going on and how significant. He was ignoring how significant this case was.
Well, Mayor Menino paved the way for us, made sure we were safe. You know, the whole experience was really
because you had, I mean, a lot of threats and a lot of ugly stuff. There was that flyer that you had that was going around that was really, really ugly. And we saw Evelyn Riley. She was a very outspoken critic of the process.
I wasn't prepared for that. There were amazing moments also of support coming from places I never would have expected it. And there were moments where it was so ugly, and I felt so protective of Annie and her friends, that was really surprising to me.
How's that been for Annie since then? I mean, as you say, I acknowledge you two have split, so she is now the product of a broken home.
A broken home.
Yeah, well, that's the way they say it.
My home is still broken. I need to put another roof on my home. It's so broken. You know, I think she's done pretty well. I mean, Hillary and I have made an effort to be civil.
Obviously.
Right?
Beyond civil.
Beyond civil. And, you know, we both have a good sense of humor. That carried us through all of the entire marriage, you know, trying to get married.
And we put her first.
Yeah, she's always been first. And I think we both had the exact same, you know, reaction when tough stuff would come our way. You know, our instinct was to shield Annie. And, you know, I think we were pretty successful at that. I mean, kids at her school knew what was going on. She's great. I mean, it was good college application material.
I guess.
You know?
She had an experience recently where in her history book they were looking at civil rights movements in the United States, and she turned the page and there was a picture of us in class. So that was sweet for her.
Did you feel a special burden when you were breaking up, that here your name was associated with this landmark ruling, and it must have been, I mean, it's tough anyway, going through a divorce, but knowing that people were looking at that?
I think for me, first of all, I was incredibly excited that our name was attached to this case. And I remain very proud of that. And, you know, it was a bummer to have our private, was hopefully going to be a private matter on the front page of the Boston Globe above the fold, when our marriage hadn't actually been on the front page of the Boston Globe above the fold. So that tells you a little bit about the priorities of that part of the media anyway. And I think it was really, really hard. I mean, I remember both of us were actively trying to get out of town the day that story broke, because we wanted to have some peace. And it was really tough.
And it's also, in some ways, a really good thing to have. I think one of the unspoken things about marriage is that divorce gives you a structure and protections and procedures to go through where without it, and if either of us were jerks, we really could have been much more vulnerable. So it ended up doing what it was supposed to do, which was protecting everybody.
I thought you were going to say it was good that the media was right on top. Of course.
I don't know about that. You survived that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Hillary and Julie Goodrich, thanks so much for coming.
Thank
and I know
you.
you got a lot of
Thanks for
events the
having
next
us.
few days.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
you.
It was great. All right. Well, next Tuesday, the Goodriches will join WGBH arts editor Jared Bowen as he moderates a special forum looking back at the SJC's same-sex marriage ruling. It's a public conversation, 10 years of gay marriage at the Boston Center for Adult Education. You can find out more information on our website, WGBHnews.org. Governor Patrick is known for his loyalty, and Stephen Crosby is no exception. The Massachusetts Gaming Commission chairman recused himself from deliberations on the Boston area casino license after he attended a party hosted by casino hopeful Suffolk Downs. Several of Patrick's would-be successors say Crosby should resign. But at his regular appearance on Boston Public Radio, Patrick said that is going too far.
What do you think? Is this are you standing by him for now, or is he going to go eventually? What do you think?
Well, I think the big question before first of all, I don't think that under any of the rules has there been a breach of ethics or a failure of integrity. I think he was right to recuse himself because of concerns about the appearance of integrity around the decision in the eastern part of the state. We haven't come to a point, and we shouldn't jump to a point that when people say off with his head, we should put that head on a stake at the gate. The commission has been doing a great job, slower than a lot of us would like, but without a doubt, with great care and thoughtfulness, and I think that's good for us in the long run.
All right, and ahead of his trade mission to Israel, the governor rejected criticism that he's been spending too much time selling Massachusetts abroad.
It is a lot of traveling, and we've called it basically junketeering. That you and a bunch of your
You're funny.
Your fellows have gone to like 10 countries in 2.5 years. So, what's your rejoinder to this? And where are the concrete results?
It's so interesting. We have invited your newspaper and many other media outlets to travel with us. In one case, the last time we went to Israel, actually, the first time we went to Israel in 2011, one newspaper and one TV station came along, and the newspaper reporter, after 2 days, was so wiped out he had to take to his bed and couldn't keep up with us. You can't sit at the desk and issue pronouncements and comment on things as a pundit. You got to get out and get engaged, and that means being engaged around the government, engaged around the Commonwealth, and engaged in the case of economics around the world.
All right, you can hear Governor Deval Patrick's full conversation with Jim and Marjorie. Just visit our website at WGBHnews.org. More than half of the inmates released from prison in Massachusetts will land behind bars again within 6 years. Now there's a push to bring tablet computers into jails as a more innovative way to offer services that help prepare inmates for release and improve their chances of never coming back. WGBH News innovation reporter Christina Quinn has the story.
At the Middlesex County House of Correction in Billerica, inmates spend their break time hanging out in the common area. There's not much going on, and the days are long, something Jeffrey Ivers knows all too well. He's serving his 9th incarceration.
Every time I come to jail, I always think it's going to be my last time in jail.
Ivers has been in and out of jail for various offenses, most of them graffiti-related or for breaking parole. His alcoholism further complicates things.
I'm petrified to leave jail. If I can't stay sober, then there's not even any purpose of finding jobs, finding work, being there for my family.
Ivers has earned good time by taking part in the prison rehab program and being a peer group leader. He's getting closer to his release date, and he knows he doesn't want to come back.
My hopes is start my own business, staying focused with my home group, my sponsor, my sober friends. That's the biggest thing that's gonna keep me going.
Ivers is exactly the kind of inmate Jail Education Solutions says it can help. The Chicago-based organization wants to give inmates tablets with specialized programs. They can earn their GEDs or college credit, access legal information, explore career options, and even take part in anger management courses. The goal is to help prepare inmates for successful re-entry. It all sounds great, but there's a learning curve.
Technology isn't really a thing for me. I don't even know how to turn a computer on.
Computer literacy might be the biggest hurdle for Jail Education Solutions. Still, Prison Superintendent Sean McAdam says he's open to bringing tablets into his facility.
We need to, in corrections, start to understand that the world beyond our walls is technology driven, and to think that this population, we're going to restrict them to pen and pencil and paper, is really unrealistic.
In fact, the Middlesex Sheriff's Office is considering its own tablet-based education program and thinks inmates will embrace them.
Most inmates that are incarcerated want to get whatever benefit they can out of their incarceration. There's a small population here that doesn't want anything to do with programming, but for the majority of people, they don't want to be here any more than we want them here, and they want to figure out how to break their cycle.
Including Jeffrey Ivers.
It would interest me. I did start a Facebook, which I still don't know how to use. I'm used to using a pen, paper, and envelopes and stamps. And that's my means of communication.
But that could all change with a simple tablet.
In a few short weeks, Jail Education Solutions will roll out about 2,000 tablets in prisons across the country. It's part of a pilot program, but Massachusetts won't be participating in this round. But what's interesting about this program is that it won't cost a dime for the taxpayers. Inmates they can use their own money. It costs about $1 or $2 to rent it. And then over time, they're hoping to implement a program where prison inmates can rent them out by working,
score points.
Exactly.
Obviously, they have no access to the internet.
No, they don't. So they're only able to use the applications that are in the dashboard of the tablet. So.
Right. All right, Christina, great piece. All right, well, let's bring in the Middlesex County Sheriff, Peter Katusian, who oversees almost 1,200 inmates now held in the Middlesex prison system. So what do you think, Peter?
I think it's innovative, it's cutting edge, it's something we should be looking at. Corrections really hasn't been on the cutting edge of technology with regard to its inmate programming. We do so many other things. But we have to remember that we're not just a fortress on a hill, we're part of society, and when inmates come out, they should know some of the basics. They should have a basic computer literacy, because you can't get a job anywhere nowadays without having to use some type of computer wherever you go, and being computer phobic is not going to be helpful to their reentry.
I get a fair number of letters from prisoners, and it looks now like some of them are computer generated. So do they have access to some kinds of
During some of the vocational training, they might have some, we'll train them in some word processing and some Excel, but generally from our facility, they should not be sending anything out on the computer or printing anything out on the computer.
Oh, really? So the thing, well, I don't know, maybe it's not a typewriter, I don't know what it is. But so the tablet-based, I mean, it looks like some of these programs, I don't know how it works, maybe would it register into the computer itself? I mean, how would you know if somebody had completed a graduate exam on the computer?
Well, you could easily tell from the software itself that a lot of these are going to be complementary to what we're doing. And what we're concerned about in corrections, these should not be used for Netflix for entertainment. They should be used for continuing your educational opportunities, your counseling opportunities, your literacy opportunities, adult English as a second language opportunities, and even some self-improvement opportunities. These are the types of applications we can see being used in corrections in the future.
Because at this point, GED system is going all computer. I don't even know if you can go in and take a handwritten test anymore.
That's right.
So if they don't know how to do it on a tablet or an iPad or something, or a computer, they're not going to be able to do it at all.
That's so true. That high school equivalency exam is now going to be online, or is actually going to be computer driven. They have to have the basics to understand how to do that. And quite honestly, for many of the people in there, they really haven't had the opportunity, like the inmate that was shown by Christina's great report, was not comfortable with computers. And that's going to be an impediment to his successful reentry, as it may have been part of an impediment on his successful reentry 8 times prior to this incarceration.
The other thing that kind of struck me was when Christina said that it would be $1 or $2 a day. That is prohibitive for the vast majority of people in any prison system. They don't even make $1 or $2 a day.
That's right. So that's why there's a couple of things we've got to do. One, it can be paid through some of the canteen monies. People also get canteen monies put in by their family to use those. And that's why we don't want to use them for entertainment, because if someone has a family that you're going to create a class system inside our facility, and that's not good for order. So that if you have someone that's got a lot of money in there and they can watch entertainment, they're going to be, firstly, they're going to be very popular, or they're going to be very threatened and suffer extortive, opportunities inside our facility. So that's what we're not going to let that happen. But if they can do a literacy or English as a second language, or some of these self-improvement programs, we're all for it. And we've got to find a way to make it affordable so that everyone has access to it, not only those that might have a little bit more wealth on the outside, or families have more wealth on the outside. Because then again, inside you'll create a class system, and that's not good for order or security.
You know, listening to Jeffrey Ivers, the inmate that Christina spoke with, he is the classic. He's almost the stereotype, frankly. Involved with drug, alcohol abuse, broken family situation to some degree. Why does that cycle repeat and repeat and repeat, and why is that the vast majority? Why do they keep coming back?
Listen, at least almost 50% of our inmates have a mental health, open mental health cases. 80 to 90% are drug or alcohol addicted. And actually, Mr. Ivers spoke about his social networks. When he got out, he wants to stay with a sober community. Because what happens is if you get out and you have the best intentions, you hang around with your old friends. By the way, most of those old friends never come to visit them in jail. That's how close, that's what good friends they are. They don't even come and visit them in their most dark times. They get back, they hang with their old friends. That social network brings you right back in. So there's so many, whether it's educational, vocational opportunities, employment, homelessness, social networks, mental health, substance abuse. All of these create a cauldron for recidivism. And that's what our job is, to try to fix all those things that went wrong in their lives, or as many as we can, to get them back out healthier and stronger. They can stay out. We're not paying $45,000 or $50,000 a year to house them. They're out getting a job. They're paying their taxes. They're not reoffending and not injuring anyone else. And they're raising their family in a way that their children will not also join into us. And I call that trickle-down corrections. Yeah. We want to stop it right at that level.
I know you can't say too much about this case, but it's a high-profile one that's under your auspices, and that's Jared Remy, the son of the Red Sox broadcaster Jared Remy. He's gotten into hot water a couple times in prison. Is he in special circumstances now? Is he in solitary? Well,
I don't comment on any internal security matter, but anyone that acts in certain prohibited ways is certainly dealt with in a way that will protect that individual, but also protect the population, and very importantly, protect our corrections officers. It's a tough enough job in there for the corrections officers, and watching out for themselves, also watching out for the inmates. We have to maintain order no matter who that inmate might be, no matter their status in life. We treat everyone the same in there. Is he a celebrity in there? We treat everyone the same in there.
Is he a celebrity, though?
We treat everyone the same in there.
I'm not getting anything out of this.
I'm sorry. I wish I could give you more, but it's important to maintain security inside and decorum inside.
All right. Peter Katushin, always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Emily.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Last night, we discussed the military's new hairstyle restrictions and the accusation that they're biased against African-American women. That prompted one viewer to email us. Regulating hairstyles and length is nothing new in the military. That some black hairstyles are not permitted is not racist. Dolly Parton's big hair would not be allowed as well. You can have your say on that or any of our stories. Email us at greaterboston@wgbh.org. Environmentalists have been trying for years to expand the state's bottle deposit law to cover a broader range of drinks. Now the effort has entered a new phase, with advocates hoping to put the question directly to voters on the November ballot. But what effect do deposit laws have on the environment? Here to bring a scientific eye to the debate is WGBH News science editor Heather Goldstone. Welcome back, Heather.
Good to be here.
So this has been going on and on. Talk about protracted, but remind us again about why we need this bill updated.
So the original bill was passed in 1983, so it's been a while. And at that point, basically, the drinks that were on the market in these disposable containers were mostly beer and soda. So what's covered under the Massachusetts law is beer, malt beverages, soda, and carbonated water, sparkling water. That means that all the non-carbonated beverages that in recent years have grown to be almost a third of the market, the juices, sports drinks, iced tea, plain water, none of that actually has a deposit on it. It's not, you can't turn it in and redeem it for that deposit. And the argument is that that means they're not getting recycled as much. And in fact, there are a number of studies that show that recycling rates for those non-deposit containers are far lower. If you look in public trash cans or in litter cleanups, they make up almost 60% of the trash or the litter when they're only 30%.
And hard liquor bottles too. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the argument against it?
Well, the main argument against it is kind of twofold. One, that with widespread curbside recycling, we don't need this. And the other, that it could be a financial burden on either manufacturers or retailers or on consumers. But a lot of the data doesn't really bear that out. That one study conducted by Massachusetts Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs showed that there wasn't really a financial burden that was borne. And in fact, a 2011 survey in Massachusetts showed that almost 90% of Massachusetts residents are supportive of the bottle bill. They're aware of the program, they support it, and 77% would support expanding it.
What about the retailers?
Well, yeah,
maybe
not. And that's why it hasn't made it out of committee, in fact, in over 10 years with these things pending in the legislature. But if it were to go to the ballot, they need 12,000 signatures by July to put it on the ballot. If that were to happen, 77%, according to this poll, 77% support expanding it. So,
is there anything in the pipeline? I mean, along biodegradable plastics and all that. I know some things have been in development, but so we can get rid of this problem once and for all.
Well, there are. And certainly drink containers are not the whole problem, right? About a third, somewhere between a quarter and a third of what's found along beaches in beach cleanups is actually the filters from cigarettes. So there's the whole wealth of plastic trash and litter that we have to deal with, and that's where this idea of could we just create plastic that's biodegradable and get rid of the whole problem. And a lot of what's already been on the market, even if it says it's biodegradable or says it's compostable, it has to go to these very specialized industrial compost facilities, so you can't just throw it out in your backyard and expect it to go away. And so that's left people a little disillusioned if they're aware of that. There are definitely innovations going on. Actually, one of the winners of the Google Science Fair last year was a 16-year-old Turkish student who has found a way to make plastic out of banana peels. There's a New York State, New York-based company that's actually, as you can see, I think we have a video, using fungus. They put fungus and plant material that the fungus eats into molds, and what comes out is essentially a styrofoam replacement that is naturally produced and biodegradable, can be used for packing or insulation, that kind of thing. And recently, a group at Harvard actually announced that they've created a biodegradable plastic that they think is not only biodegradable, but could be used as fertilizer. It's made from a variety of chitin, which is a material found in shrimp or lobster shells, also in insects' exoskeletons. It turns out that chitin is the second most abundant organic material on the planet. And they've found a way, they found a way to basically using traditional plastic manufacturing techniques, the same kind of mold, injection molding and that sort of thing, make these 3D shapes, cups, bottles that then become completely biodegradable. They would be a few times more expensive than traditional plastic still, and that's what a lot of the stumbling block has been, is either the method or the cost for these new plastics.
All right, Heather Goldstone, thanks so much. All right, well, tomorrow it's Beat the Press. After ousting executive editor Jill Abramson, the New York Times is on the defensive over allegations that management found her too bossy. We'll discuss that and more tomorrow on Beat the Press. And if you missed any of tonight's Greater Boston, or if you'd like to catch up on past episodes, visit our website, WGBHnews.org. And you can email us anytime at at WGBH.org. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching Greater Boston. Stay with WGBH News wherever you go, on TV, on radio, online, on mobile. WGBH News, local depth, local perspective.